Hey guys, welcome back to Altaz-Review, where we talk about all kinds of games, old and new. Hogwarts Legacy just got a Switch port, and it looks about as good as you could expect from a Switch game. But we're here to talk about optimization and whether this game is worth playing on a more simplified console. As things stand, the Nintendo Switch is kind of lagging behind consoles like the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Hopefully in the future, Nintendo will bring out a new console that can rival current-gen technology and run the newest games. But for now, every new game that's coming out isn't available to be played on Switch, or the Switch just can't handle it. So for the games that can run on the Switch, it's a question of whether developers can make a port that works well with the Switch and helps the game run on a good frame rate, good quality, and helps us to have the same amount of fun on the Nintendo Switch as we can on other consoles. So let's get into it. If you've seen my video on Hogwarts Legacy, you'll know that I have mixed opinions on the various features of Hogwarts Legacy and how it implements Harry Potter lore as an open-world RPG. But right now, we want to focus more on what it feels like to play on Switch instead of on other consoles. Naturally, the first thing to notice is the graphics quality. Whether you're prepared for it or not, Switch graphics can take the most graphically intense games to the same amount of detail as a PS2 game. It's not horrible, but it is noticeable, and you can't play around with the options like on a PC. These details are pretty manageable on a game like Pokemon or Legend of Zelda. But Hogwarts Legacy has some impeccable vistas and beautiful recreations of iconic locations. These views are arguably the best part of the game, so seeing them downgraded so heavily can feel a bit disappointing. But with a few visual downgrades, the developers made sure to create a seamless port for Switch, which we can't say for other recent ports like the Red Dead Redemption Switch port. Hogwarts Legacy on Switch plays smoothly and without any bugs as far as we can see. Rather than just put the settings on low, it seems the developers reworked a lot of the cutscenes and gameplay elements to let the important assets show themselves clearly, while the smaller details are removed instead of looking like some semi-rendered blob in the corner. It's not a perfect solution, but it's the best solution for a console like the Switch. The important part is that players can experience the entire game in a consistent way without having to forego any basic elements. For the most part, if you really want to play Hogwarts Legacy but you don't want to get a big PC or console just for one game, the Switch version allows you to experience all the fun with the same visuals and performance of any other Switch game. But for people that have the option to play on other platforms, the Switch port might not be the best investment. Moving on to more expected changes, the Switch once again logs the game at 30 FPS. Considering how the game has been reworked and ported, I don't doubt that it can probably run at 60 FPS without much issues. But with the current console restrictions, fans will have to deal with the current frame rate no matter what. But even though the game runs well, some of the changes made to accomplish this feat might be a little too much. One of the bigger issues with this port is that the once seamless open world has become a combination of instanced areas that require you to enter a loading screen to enter the next area. Notably, areas like Hogsmeade aren't as easy to enter anymore. Although it was easy to tell that there was some version of loading assets or changing areas when entering Hogsmeade on the PS5 or Xbox Series X, but you wouldn't notice any lag or changes while entering the area. In the Switch version, however, even after loading in, there's still some notable pop-in effect where some assets take a while to show up. Admittedly, the lack of an SSD is quite a setback for current-gen games these days. But hopefully, some of these issues can be dealt with in a potential Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever it's gonna be called. In the end, once again, the Switch port negatively affects the exploration of Hogwarts Legacy, which may be one of the game's strongest suits, which unfortunately gets nerfed in the Switch version. Objectively, Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch meets expectations and ends up being as good as expected. From a gamer point of view, however, it's a little more subjective depending on the player. In my case, even though the graphical downgrade is expected, it's too noticeable in a game like Hogwarts Legacy where the graphics are one of its biggest strengths. Aside from that though, Hogwarts Legacy has ended up being one of the best implemented ports for the Switch in a while. This is especially due to the developers meticulously editing each element of the game to best suit the targeted console. With this kind of quality as a game and as a port, Hogwarts Legacy stands as a comparison against future ports, and hopefully it can encourage developers to put in the extra effort to make sure players are able to fully enjoy their games regardless of the console. It's worth noting that Hogwarts Legacy is one of the heaviest games this year, and considering all the graphically intense games that came out this year, that's a high bar. So seeing how difficult it was to run Hogwarts Legacy on PS5 or on any PC, it definitely is amazing that Hogwarts Legacy can even run on the Switch. And considering the efforts and the changes made to be able to run Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch, and still have it look as good as it does and run so smoothly if other developers use the same methods and ideas to port their games onto other consoles. Not only can we expect more games and more ports on the Switch, but we might actually see better versions of games on their own targeted consoles. I mean, just look at recent releases like Jedi Survivor, Hogwarts Legacy itself, and of course Cyberpunk, which have had several issues when running on PC or Xbox or any console aside from the first one they thought of. No matter how good games have been, their biggest issue has been porting to several consoles or targeting multiple consoles to begin with. So seeing how well Hogwarts Legacy was able to manage porting, hopefully we'll see a higher quality of games right when they come out, rather than seeing 10 GB patches on day one. Now that we've gotten a great port of one of the heaviest and most well-respected games of the year, I can't wait to see what other games make it onto Nintendo consoles. Even more so since we're all waiting for the next big console by Nintendo. Let me know in the comments if you plan to play Hogwarts Legacy on Switch, and tell us about what games you want to hear about in future videos. Until then, I hope I see you in the next video.